Disclaimer, this channel assumes you talk to your DM about literally everything. This is a communication game. The game literally doesn't work if you don't talk to each other. Anyways, let's start the video. I am back from America. Hello. This video is something I cooked up quick. And this is a useful guide for 2014 and 2024. The advice I'm gonna give here is basically the same. Today, I'm gonna tell you how to deal with legendary resistance as a spellcaster. Legendary resistance is actually not that scary. The solutions are really simple. Welcome to Pack Tactics, where damage solves. Legendary resistance will say something like this. If the dragon fails a saving throw, it can choose to succeed instead. And it has a number of uses, and it's usually 3. In 2024, for some monsters, it's higher. You usually see this feature in late tier 2 and up with boss monsters. They're usually the scariest enemy, and usually there's only one of them with legendaries, and the rest are just mobs. Here's what you need to do. You need to tell your party to focus fire. That way, things die faster. You guys should be doing this with every encounter really, but it's especially important here because the encounter usually gets scarier and scarier the longer the fight lasts. They do things to you and they have legendary actions. You need to end it as quickly as possible. If you guys focus fire with Nova, big damage spells, whatever, you'll collectively do about 100 damage on average, maybe more. If you guys do that 3-4 more times, that usually ends the fight. What's special about your damage, Mr. Caster, is you have spells that do half damage on a save. And that half damage does majority of the work in damage mathematically for everything. I made a video about this years ago and it's still very much relevant. Link in the description. Now, spamming fireballs is a very expensive solution. I don't really recommend you do that. But it will likely solve this specific encounter if you have enough resources. And if you know that this is the last encounter of the day, then just do it anyways. It's fine. Not only are you doing consistent damage all the time, it's not like a swing and a miss, but you will probably burn some legendaries too. If you're known to be the guy who casts a lot of control spells, then chances are pretty high that they will never use a legendary against your fireballs or your damage spells. The reason for that is because your DM is afraid of your control spells. And then there's Spirit Guardians that destroys everything in its path. I talk about Spirit Guardians all the time. I think you get the gist with damage. It's really not that deep. Damage solves. Let's move on to control. Spirit Guardians here. It forces half movement as well, and this is no save, so it automatically applies to the enemy. There's tons of spells out there that do something similar to this, like Spike Growth, Plant Growth, and Web. With Spike Growth and Plant Growth, they can't save against anything. With Web, there is a save, and they will 100% use their legendary resistance on it. But the Web still has no save difficult terrain, which they have to move through. You're still controlling them no matter what. And there's a lot of strategy here with your team. Even like moving backwards is a sound strategy. Not only are you forcing the boss to dash, but it takes longer for them to reach you. But Kobold, bosses have high initiative in 2024. They might get to you right away. Control is still important to crack down. Like some of them have legendary action move features, and you don't want them to do that at all. So you cast Spike Growth at your party's feet, or you cast it at their feet. That will make the boss not want to move very much. And by the way, if you cast this on your party's feet, they won't take damage from it. It's not like Baldur's Gate 3. They will only take damage if they move through it. And keep in mind, guys, dropping concentration is free. You can drop it off your turn. Correct. So if you make a bad play, it won't hurt your party that much. Then there's Fog Cloud. I forgot to mention this in my heavily obscured video, but this spell can work as a mass disengage because opportunity attack relies on sight. There's also a ton of other abilities and spells that rely on sight too. And even True Sight can't see through Fog Cloud. So yeah, I don't think you guys should sleep on Fog Cloud. I know a lot of you do. I can see my views on YouTube, you silly noobs. You guys don't care about these spells. Then there's wall spells. You can block things. Wall of Force is the first thing that comes to mind. It's no save shutdown, you put them in a box. Some parties microwave with it, which is the safest way to kill a boss. Link in the description for more information on that. Shutdown clearly works. It's still the king of the game here. Legendary Resistance doesn't really flip things on its head that much. Don't freak out, think about what the monster can do, and use the appropriate control. If you're fighting a Lich and you know that Wall of Force normally doesn't work here, you can always just go back to the old reliable, which is damage. You might not be good at damage, but damage does stack up and it solves. These dice solve too, by the way. It's the Kobold and Gator dice! We do a ton of damage! And we're great at burning legendary resistances away. We still need 300 more followers for the project. Yes, we need 300 Spartans and we'll be ready to launch. By the way, guys, there will also be some adventures available with the dice. Here's the cover for one of them. This one's about a birthday. Yeah! Birthday parties are the best way to start a campaign. Everybody loves birthdays. And everyone likes dice. Check out the Kobold and Gator dice on BackerKit. We need 300 more followers to really kick things off. We want to join your party and play some games. Link in the description. Back to the video. Now, I'm going to list a few spells that are effective against these bosses. I'm not going to go through everything because, well, it's kind of annoying to mention every conjure spell and its versions, you know? So instead, I'm just going to name a few spells and you'll get a good idea what to look for. Let's start with Heat Metal. Target the armor, no save damage over time, and has disadvantage to attacks and ability checks. Party can combo this with telekinesis, web, and so on. This usually only works for humanoids and constructs, but it's something to consider picking up if you're playing something like a bard. I'm talking about 2014 bard, by the way. Probably not for 2024. Polymorph can turn the fighter into a giant ape and throw rocks and punch things. Huge giant crab can auto-grapple the boss, making it easier to focus fire. Polymorph is great at conserving resources in general from level 7 to 11. Giant Ape does like 27 DPR, which is pretty decent, and has 157 temp HP or whatever it is. The form is gonna stick around for a few rounds, and we like that. I like to imagine Polymorph as an emergency button, and if you have to press it multiple times, then, you know, do it. But whatever you do not cast this on yourself. You're the person concentrating. When you turn into a giant ape, you have bad AC. You're gonna get hit all the time, so you're likely gonna lose that concentration fast. I don't care that you secured your concentration, just don't do it. It's not worth the risk. Fight safely. Pass without trace and surprise. Get the drop on the encounter. You have advantage on initiative, while they have disadvantage to initiative. If you're playing 2014 version, it's even stronger because it's like super action surge for your entire party. In either versions, both of them make a massive difference for casters. Going first before the boss is a huge move. It's easier to place AoEs and control out of the gates. For example, Druid can cast Plant Growth that makes 1 feet of movement cost 4 feet of movement. And then the Warlock can combine that with Hunger of Adar, which is difficult terrain. Both of these stack with each other, which makes it insanely hard to get out of. You immediately solve the encounter, basically. Now, I know a lot of you are gonna say, well, 2024 has super high initiative. Well, try anyways. Majority of you might not beat the Lich with 19 initiative. But at least you're trying, and you're definitely going to beat the mobs in initiative. And who knows, maybe you get lucky and win initiative against the Lich. Next is Telekinesis. The 2014 version forces a strength check, not a saving throw. Legendary resistances don't work on ability checks. If it doesn't stick, you just keep trying, and if you get them, you really get them. You restrain them and you move them into an AoE or whatever. In 2024, this was nerfed to a strength save. Don't worry though, this is now great at burning legendaries away, because you can just attempt to do it over and over and over again, so long as you're concentrating on it. So it's not a complete loss. Summon Greater Demon, this is a real summon spell for men. It's not something bad like a Tasha summon that wastes your money and is gone in 1 round. You place this behind enemy lines. Pick a Dybbuk, a Balgrulla, or a Babau. And then you just watch them battle it out with the boss boss and stay far away. I recommend your party does the same. You can double summon Greater Demon or even triple summon if you want. It's very dangerous, but distance and cover is super broken. Use it. You're probably on a Phantom Steed that can dash 200 feet, so you're probably gonna get away with this. Last one I want to mention is Rope Trick. This is better than full cover. It's great against dragons especially. Nothing can pass through the barrier unless you walk through it. Breath Weapon can't pass through the barrier, which makes it easy to bait breath weapons to single targets. This is how you beat any dragon in the game, including the silver ones. They're too big to enter into the rope trick. Hahaha, noobs. That's everything I really wanted to talk about, you get the gist. There's a lot of solutions, but if everything fails, focus fire and damage solves. But also remember to use the terrain to your advantage. End your turn behind cover. If you have a Phantom Steed, move away. Distance and cover is broken. You get the point. End of video. Don't forget to check out the Kobold and Gator dice. Thank you for watching. Bye bye!